Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, this massive new pattern is forming on the Bitcoin charts, but in the short term, Bitcoin is now breaking to the downside from this short-term bearish pattern. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment, alongside Ethereum, which is now flashing a new signal in the short term that we need to pay attention to, while Solana just invalidated this breakout to the upside. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in this video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just giving you a quick update on the Bitcoin ETF news today. And just on Tuesday, we saw another net inflow. This time around, it was a net inflow of around 31.6 million US dollars. And so, of course, on Tuesday, that was good news for Bitcoin. We did see a bit of bullish price action for Bitcoin with this extra buying pressure coming into the market. And if we're looking at the breakdown, we saw relatively small inflows, but spread out inflows across multiple different ETFs, and actually a relatively small outflow from Grayscale. And so at least at the beginning of the week, talking about Monday and Tuesday, we haven't really seen a lot of action from the Bitcoin ETFs, just two relatively small inflows, okay inflows, but relatively small net inflows. But anyway, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, this is on the 3-day time frame, and as of right now, here on the larger time frames, we're still clearly within a larger bullish trend, also known as a bull market, because as of right now, we're still forming significant higher lows and higher highs here on the larger time frames. But obviously, during a bull market or during a larger bullish trend, we can see short-term pullbacks from time to time or short-term bearish price action. And so do not be fooled by short-term day-to-day bearish price action, because that's very normal to see. And in fact, that's one of the major mistakes that beginners make, is simply by panic selling Bitcoin or getting super bearish on Bitcoin just because we saw a bit of bearish price action, let's just say in the last few hours. But as I always say, it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. Of course, in the short term, from time to time, yes, we can see bearish price action here and there. But when we're zooming out, looking at the bigger picture, we can clearly see that as of right now, at least, the price of Bitcoin is still within a larger bullish trend, also known as a bull market. And not financial advice, but usually these short-term pullbacks actually turn out to be great buying opportunities to accumulate cheaper Bitcoin before the bull market continues later on. But anyway, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, and as of right now, the DXY is still pulling back. Over the last 1 day, we've seen a very, very small spike to the upside, but we're still basically seeing a pullback here in the DXY, as I've mentioned in recent videos here on the channel. And so technically speaking, if the DXY is bearish, as we can see on this chart, usually when the DXY is trending in the bearish direction, that is bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. And so, of course, if this pullback continues here in the DXY, as we've seen over the last 1 week approximately, technically that should be a bullish indication for Bitcoin and crypto, as we've also seen approximately over the last 1 week. We have seen a bit of a short-term recovery in the price of Bitcoin. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, looking at the daily Bitcoin RSI, as of right now, this is actually pulling back alongside the price of Bitcoin here in the imminent short term, potentially to retest this descending line of previous resistance. And now, if we actually see a breakback below this line right here in the daily Bitcoin RSI, then that will tell us that this breakout to the upside that we saw over the last 1 to 2 days is essentially a fake out. It was invalidated. But once again, that's only really if we confirm a break to the downside again here in the RSI. But if we actually hold above this level and ideally start forming some higher lows and higher highs again in the daily Bitcoin RSI, which will happen eventually, whether it's now or later at another point, basically when we eventually see more of a bullish trend form in the daily Bitcoin RSI, that is a strong signal on the chart telling us that the price of Bitcoin is gaining strength. We're looking more bullish once we actually start forming higher lows and higher highs in the daily Bitcoin RSI. And so, like I said in my last video, we do have a small confirmation signal of this breakout in the RSI. But like I said yesterday, in order to be more confident that we're really flipping bullish again in the short term, we ideally need to see some higher lows and higher highs form in the daily Bitcoin RSI, which at least as of right now has not yet happened. And while the price of Bitcoin is bouncing around here on the daily time frame, basically taking a bit of a break or setback from the larger bullish trend, we are potentially seeing a massive bull flag pattern form, a bullish flag pattern, because a bullish flag pattern is essentially a parallel channel, usually either trending sideways or slightly to the downside, and a bull flag always happens after a move to the upside and usually happens during a bullish trend. And basically, the confirmation signal that we need to watch out for the bull flag pattern would be a confirmed breakout above this line of resistance, which is sitting at around 71,500. And so basically, once the price of Bitcoin officially confirms a breakout above 71,500 with daily candle closes above that level, or even better, if we flip that level into new support, then that would confirm the breakout for this bull flag pattern, which would set up a massive bullish price target to the upside for the bull flag, and would basically be telling us that we are about to continue that larger bullish trend with the next leg to the upside in the bull market. And so overall, the situation on the larger timeframes at the moment is that we're still in a larger bullish trend, but we're currently taking a bit of a break or setback from that bullish trend, which is potentially forming this massive bullish flag pattern, which only actually confirms once again if we see a confirmed breakout above this resistance at 71,500. And with that being said, taking a look at what's happening in the short term right now, here on the 4-hour time frame, of course, just recently, we have actually confirmed at least one 4-hour candle close back below this area, which was acting as resistance and was previous support and was temporary support right here. And this should now once again act as new resistance for the price, considering we have broken to the downside below this area, which is sitting in between around 65 to 66,000. And also, this bullish divergence here on the 4-hour time frame has already played its part and is no longer playing out, considering we've now formed a lower high and lower low here in the RSI in the 4-hour time frame. And so once again, this bullish divergence has now already played its part. It played out very well over the last 1 week approximately, but I no longer expect this bullish divergence to continue to play out. And as for short-term support and resistance, we have a major area of support in between around 61,000 to 62,000, with some more support down towards $60,000. And I would also expect some support at around 63,500 to 64,000 based on these lows right here. And as for short-term resistance, once again, I just discussed that area, which should now act as new resistance. We also have a bit of resistance at around 67,000, which I'll talk about in just a moment, and more resistance right here in between 68 to 69,000, and significant resistance up here at around 71,500. And also on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, we can now see a break to the downside from this bearish rising wedge pattern. And obviously, already for the last couple of days, I have been talking about this rising wedge pattern and how, statistically speaking, it is more likely to break to the downside than to the upside. And so this is exactly what we are seeing right now, a break to the downside from a statistically bearish pattern. And as for support and resistance for this pattern right here, the line of resistance was sitting at around 67,000, which we exactly rejected from multiple times. And this support line was sitting at around 66.4k approximately. And basically, once we confirmed a break below that line of support, then that set up a short-term bearish price target for this pattern. And if we're taking a look at that initial price target to the downside for this break to the downside from the rising wedge, that sets up an initial price target at around 62,500. And so obviously at the time of recording this video, the price has pretty much already moved around halfway between the point of the breakdown and the price target. And technically speaking, there is also a complete technical price target, a full technical price target for a rising wedge, which is at the bottom of the wedge, sitting at around 60 to 61,000. But we have to remember that between the current price and that complete technical price target to the downside, there is also that initial price target where we could potentially bounce at. And on top of that, there's also those areas of support that I just mentioned earlier, where the price could also potentially bounce at. And as for my short-term trading strategy right now, as of right now, I have exited my long position. First of all, if you watched my last few videos, you would know that I already took profits from that long position right around here. And the reason why just over the last one day I exited the rest of that long position is due to this move to the downside simply hitting my stop loss, which was in profits. Because at least when it comes to my risk management for my trading strategy, I usually like to move my stop loss into profits once the trade enters decently into profits. And so by doing that, it's basically impossible for me to lose on a trade once I move my stop loss into profits, because once we see a bearish move like this, even if it comes out of nowhere and I don't expect it and I'm not looking at a bearish pattern like this, of course, by having my stop loss sitting above my entry price in the case of a long position, so in profits, then a bearish move like this would just trigger that stop loss in profits and close the trade in profits automatically. And so just by using some decent risk management, we're able to still profit from a long position, even in the worst case scenario, by taking some profits off the table when the trade is doing well, and by also moving the stop loss into profits. And if you want to take these trades in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I trade those moves over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit in the description down below and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim an exclusive 200 USDT airdrop position. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check that out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And so once again, right now, my short-term trading strategy is that right now I'm out of a trade. I have already taken a lot of profits from that Bitcoin long position, and I'm now completely out of that trade. And I'm essentially now just waiting out this bearish move to the downside, which once again was expected once we saw a break below this support. And potentially at some of these lower prices, if the price of Bitcoin actually heads towards these bearish price targets for this pattern right here, potentially down towards those lower levels of support, I may be interested in accumulating another long position at better prices. And the main reason as to why I'm more focused on long positions over short positions at the moment, one of the main reasons is simply due to the fact that right now we are still within a larger bullish trend. And now, once again, yes, we can still see short-term bearish price action during a larger bullish trend, which means from time to time, we can use a short position to profit during that bearish price action. But of course, while we're in a bull market, the long positions are far more profitable than the short positions once we actually flip more bullish again in the short term. Because obviously, if you're able to catch one of these moves to the upside in a long position, you're going to be making way more profits than catching one of these moves to the downside in a short position. And also, if we're taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we can see over the last one day, we took out a little bit of downside liquidity, but we still have a lot of liquidity to the upside at around 67.3 to 67.4K. And so potentially sometime soon, possibly over the next few days, maybe over the next 1 week or so, we could likely see a bounce back to the upside to take out those higher levels of liquidity, because usually the price of Bitcoin moves towards where there's most liquidity. And so just keep that in mind. And also, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin funding rates across multiple different exchanges, right now, the funding rates are still relatively neutral, with some funding rates actually above neutral and some funding rates below neutral, sitting in the negative. But ultimately, if we're looking at the larger exchanges like Binance, for example, right now, the Binance funding rate is below neutral, below 0.01%. And so this is still telling us that there's a lot of people in the market looking to short Bitcoin and crypto, and not a lot of people looking to long the market. And so basically, the further to the downside these funding rates go into negative territory, the more the short positions are having to pay in fees to the long positions. Once again, this is actually a very rare thing to see during a bull market. We almost never see negative funding rates or even below neutral funding rates during a bull market. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 8-hour time frame, we can see just recently we've seen yet another perfect rejection from this exact area of resistance. Because once again, as I've been saying recently here on the channel, we have an area of resistance in between 3.2k to 3250, and we've just seen another perfect rejection based on these candle closes exactly from around 3250. And also, now that we're seeing a bit of a short-term reversal here in the 8-hour Ethereum RSI, with the RSI forming lower lows in the short term, technically this is an invalidation signal of this bullish divergence. And so obviously this bullish divergence right here has played out very well over the last 1 week approximately, since all the way back down here I've been saying how this bullish divergence is likely going to continue to play out, but right now I no longer expect this bullish divergence to continue to play out. And as for short-term support and resistance, we do have major support in this area in between around 2850 to 2950, with some short-term support sitting at around 3050, and above that we have a resistance right here that I just mentioned, and above that we have more resistance in between around 3470 to 3530, and significant resistance at around 3650. And if we're taking a look at the 3-hour ETH to US dollar chart, we can see just recently, over the last half a day approximately, we have now confirmed a new short-term bearish divergence. Because here on the 3-hour time frame, the price in the candle closes has confirmed a new higher high, while the 3-hour RSI has confirmed a lower high. And so this now tells us that we have essentially lost all of that short-term bullish momentum, and over the next 1 to 2 days or so at least, we should be expecting either a short-term pullback or at the very least a sideways consolidation. Basically, I'll not be expecting a significant amount of bullish momentum, at least in the imminent short term here. But remember, the short term is different to the longer term. So yes, on the weekly time frame, for example, we can still be in the larger bullish trend, also known as the bull market. But just talking about the day-to-day price action here in the short term, once again, just in the short term, I am looking a little bit more bearish just based on this bearish divergence now actively playing out. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 8-hour time frame, what we are now seeing is a potential retest of this descending line of resistance, which could now act as a new support, which is sitting at around $147. And so for as long as the price can now hold above that level, then that can be bullish for the price. If we actually bounce from that level, then of course that can further confirm the breakout to the upside for this potential bump and run reversal pattern. But basically, if the price starts confirming candle closes back below around $147, then in that case, that would invalidate this breakout to the upside and invalidate this bump and run reversal pattern. And also, similar to Bitcoin and Ethereum, this short-term bullish divergence is essentially now invalidated now that we're seeing a bit of a reversal here in the 8-hour Solana RSI. And if we're taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, just recently we have now officially confirmed the invalidation of this breakout to the upside. Because as always, if we break out above some important resistance, and then if we see a break back below that level on the chart, that invalidates the breakout to the upside. And so essentially this breakout was just a fake out. And so as of right now, this Adam and Eve pattern right here is invalid. It is no longer playing out. We no longer have an active bullish price target for this pattern right here. And so once again, when we're talking about just the short term right now, the only hope for the bulls is to hold this area right here and see a bounce from around 147 at the lowest. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, once again, check out those links down below this video if you want to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.